Hi. So, just to go ahead and get straight into it, going off of Hofstede's cultural dimensions for Greece, obviously, I'm just going to kind of go down through the list of all of the different dimensions and go through which Greece more aligns with. So, from the beginning, comparing individualistic versus collectivism, I would say, after doing the research and seeing all of the numbers, I would say that Greece definitely falls more individualistic, which is more of a me first way of thinking. So I kind of compare it to versus collectivism. You see that a lot in cultures where you may see like multiple generations living under the same roof, right? So you have grandparents, maybe even aunts and cousins and uncles and brothers and sisters and great grandparents all living in the same house and really putting family first. That's very collectivism versus individualistic. You see more individual homes for individual families, right? Me first way of thinking. You're climbing the ladder. You're not really worried about the collective of the culture. And then I would say that they have a high power distance rather than low power distance, and that's just that power and wealth inequalities are accepted. So versus everyone being more on like an even playing field, you do see more of the power and wealth. If people are wealthier, they're going to have more power. Going between masculinity and femininity, definitely more masculine. You just see more traditional masculine work roles. Those are going to be enforced in males, and you see male dominated fields. You see males are typically more in power in Greece. That kind of aligns with the U.S. In that way. Also long-term orientation, as well as they score pretty moderately on uncertainty avoidance, which just means that they follow established laws and regulations rather than being okay with taking risks, right? They want the least amount of uncertainty as possible. They want to know that if this happens, this is the outcome of what happens, right? So as least amount of uncertainty as possible. And then going into just like day by day culture, I found it very interesting going through different scenarios. Like you're in a restaurant, you're out in town, you're in a business setting. I found that very interesting and actually very helpful. I definitely learned some things. So for like overall, Greeks are typically warm and hospitable. You kind of see that like Italians might be more like rough around the edges, or people from like French people are a lot more harsh. But apparently Greeks are warm and hospitable. So I'm super excited to experience that culture. When you meet someone, especially in a business setting, but even just in general, shaking hands firmly and smile when greeting each other, making eye contact while you're talking and while you're speaking. I think in the U.S., we do kind of prioritize like eye contact versus some other countries, but it seemed like it was a pretty set in stone thing that you want to really make eye contact. So going into like restaurant culture and just different rules, I guess you could say, unspoken rules that Greeks have within restaurants was interesting. Arriving 30 minutes late is actually considered punctual, which is very exciting for me because I feel like I'm late to everything. I'm probably like 10 to 15 minutes late everywhere I go. So that's actually very heartwarming to know that I'm on the same level as Greeks when it comes to being late. But don't worry, I won't be late to anything when we're there. You want to dress well when you go out to eat, and just in general, you see that is a huge difference. I think in a lot of European countries and just a lot of countries in general, you just dress well, especially also like Asian cultures. You just are dressing well whenever you leave the house. You're looking presentable. Versus in the US, in the States, it's a lot more common to just be in super, super casual clothes all the time. So dressing well, but especially in a restaurant setting, you really want to dress well. And also remain standing until invited to sit down. I thought that was also very interesting, because I think if I were to go to Greece and sit down or go to a restaurant and eat, I would probably be like the first to sit down, because in my head, you just sit down and you start to mingle and talk with people. So that's a really good one to know. I don't want to show up to an event or to a dinner or a lunch and be rude accidentally. So that one was really interesting to learn. Okay, so on to the Greek speaking language. I'm super nervous. Don't judge the pronunciation. I was really bad at Spanish in high school, really bad at speaking Spanish, so I can't imagine I'm probably going to butcher the Greek. But I'm going to have most of this down by the time we get there, don't worry. But, yes, so I'll just go ahead and get started. Yasho Milene Anna Kate Graham. Hello, my name is Anna Kate Graham. Kalimera Milate Angelike. I hope that was right. Yes, I hope that was right. Good morning, do you speak English? Thank you would be Efratisto. And then this one's the one that I really struggle with. But where is the bathroom? Poi ine e tu alete. Eleta. We'll get it down, I promise. By the time we get there, I'm going to be a master at can I go to the bathroom. But thank you so much. Or as the Greeks would say, Kalimera. Bye.